Hi there and welcome, it's Jennifer. Nowadays, most stamp companies are offering stamps with the matching coordinating dies available. Well, here's a way you can get more out of those stamps and coordinating dies. You can create your own stamps with the coordinating dies and layer those with the matching stamps. So you can do some fun stamp layering. It's hard to describe, but when you see it in action, it'll make sense. I'm also going to have some fun with perfect pearls. This is a great way to get more out of your stamps and coordinating dies. Okay, so for this, you need some craft foam. This is just that inexpensive white craft foam that we played with as a kid. You can use any color, it really doesn't matter. Now, these are the coordinating dies to the stamp set that I'll be using today. You'll see it in a moment. These are from Hero Arts. I'm going to go ahead and die cut from this craft foam a bunch of the different shapes. Now, this craft foam die cuts beautifully, absolutely no problem at all, and you will be amazed at how well it stamps too. I'm going to go ahead and set these pieces aside, and we need to plan out our stamping, how we're going to arrange everything. This is the stamp set I'm using today. It's called You're So Lovely. It's from Hero Arts, and the dies that I just used coordinate with it. This is a beautiful set for kind of creating an arrangement of flowers on your card. So now I need to kind of plan out what I'm going to do, where these stamps are going to land on my paper. So I have a piece of 3 3/4 inch wide white cardstock. It's 5.5 inches tall, and I've arranged my flowers how I want them to stamp. Just kind of planning it over there to the left. Now I'm taking the coordinating die cuts that I created from the craft foam and positioning them on another piece of white cardstock in the same place. Now notice every time I'm putting some adhesive on the top of this craft foam die cut. So the adhesive is facing up, it's not getting glued to the paper. So I'm going to arrange these all in place. And again, I'm just using these white pieces to kind of help me plan out my cards. I'm not actually gluing anything down at this point. I do this a lot where I arrange the stamps on my background so I can kind of plan things out. Now I have all my craft foam pieces down with adhesive facing up. This is just a tape runner or stamp runner. Any adhesive that you can use temporarily would work. Now I'm going to take my acrylic block and press it down on top of these craft foam pieces. I'm actually going to line up the right side of my acrylic block with the right side of my paper over there just to help me get the position right every time. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. I'm going to press that acrylic block down. Sorry, I got my head in the way there. Wanted to make sure I got it just right. I'm pressing that acrylic block down onto those craft pieces, and they're stuck to my acrylic block temporarily now. So now basically we have a stamp. Now I did put those flowers on there. At this point I decided to take those flowers off because I'm only going to do the leaves first. So those will all be in the same green color. I'll do the flowers in a moment. Now the inks I decided to use today are these little ink cubes from Kelly Perky. This is like a hybrid ink, and it's a beautiful ink, available in beautiful colors. There's 4 in a set, and I have a few different sets here. I'm going to take the green and I'm going to ink up my craft foam as I would a stamp. And you would be amazed how well this craft foam takes the ink and how well it stamps onto the paper. So I'm going to go ahead and ink these up. Now when I go to stamp this, I'm going to line up the right side of my acrylic block with the right side of my paper as I did when I was planning this out. Now you could use any ink that you may have for this. It really doesn't matter what type of ink you use. I just really like the colors of this Kelly Perky ink line. Okay, so I'm stamping this up, lining the right side of the block with the right side of the paper, and there we have it. We have our leaves. So basically, these are kind of like a shadow for the stamps that we're going to put on top later because these were cut with the coordinating dies. Okay, so I'm going to make a bunch of cards while I'm at it. This is my new thing. I like to do this. So you'll see me stamping several backgrounds as we go, and I'll show you how I pull the cards together later. After I've done all the leaves, I'm going to go ahead and do my large flower with a pink ink here. Now, you would be amazed how many times you can use one of these little craft foam pieces for stamping. It's not like you can only get a few uses out of it. I actually did a make and take at a craft show where we made about 40 of these, and the little craft foam pieces held up beautifully. And check out how solid they stamp. It's really a great way to get more out of your dies, is to turn them into stamps. I've done videos showing this in the past, and I'll link to some of those here. But here we're using the coordinating dies to create basically a shadow for our stamps. Now I'm going in with the smaller flower die cut. I'm using more of a teal color here, and I'm going to stamp that in that original place also. And I'll do this on all of the pieces. I have my first layer of stamping done now, so now I can break out the matching stamps and put it on top. You could stamp with black ink on top, you could gold heat emboss on top if you wanted to. I decided to stamp on top with white pigment ink. My favorite white pigment ink is Hero Art's Unicorn White, and look how beautiful this looks stamped on top. This is a great way to get more out of your coordinating dies by creating stamps with them that you can layer with the stamps themselves. Now, after I went through and stamped the leaves on top, the flowers on top, everything with the white pigment ink, I'm going to put Perfect Pearls on top of this. You could stop with the white ink itself. It'll kind of intensify and be beautiful, but I thought I'd add some shine. So this is Perfect Pearls. It's a pigment powder from Ranger. It's a great product, and I am just going to use a brush to put on a light layer of this over that white ink. So white pigment ink, it's a pigment ink, so it stays wet for a little bit, so it kind of holds on to the Perfect Pearls that you put on top. I'm not putting much on here, just a quick brush of it, and it adds a little bit of shine. It's hard to see in the video, but in real life, it's really quite lovely. There are different colors of Perfect Pearls, but the regular Perfect Pearl color of Perfect Pearls is this white that I think is fantastic. So the card on the left, I haven't added the pearls to, so you can see the difference that it makes. Since I'm putting such a little amount of pearls on this, of Perfect Pearls on this, I'm not worried about it rubbing off. It really stays put nicely. The Perfect Pearls has a built-in binder that the ink really holds on to enough. You can mist it with a little bit of water if you want to be sure to make it stay, but really I don't think this is a problem at all, and I don't see much rubbing off. Okay, so now after I've put the Perfect Pearls on all of these backgrounds, the way I get the excess Perfect Pearls off is with a piece of Swiffer dusting cloth. You've seen me use these in previous videos to clean up glitter. It's a great way to wipe off excess Perfect Pearls. So I'm just kind of rubbing the Swiffer dusting cloth over the images, and enough of that pearl stays behind on the flowers that it has a beautiful shine. Another fun option instead of Perfect Pearls would be to heat emboss with a pearl embossing powder that's stamping. Now, that would be beautiful too, and you'd have a little dimension. Okay, now for the sentiments, I decided to use this stamp set from Hero Arts. 25% of the profits from this go to the Kindness campaign, which is an anti-bullying campaign. I thought it'd be nice to use a few different ones of these on the cards. I have a stamping pad underneath this since this is such a large sentiment that I'm stamping. I want to make sure I get it just right. I'm stamping this with Hero Arts black dye ink. It's my favorite black dye ink. And you can see that it stamps nicely on top of the Perfect Pearls. Not a big deal at all. There are a few other sentiments in this set that I'm going to stamp on these. I have about 10 cards that I made here, so I did a variety of sentiments, so I have something on hand for anything I need. After gluing this onto a pool-colored note card right up against the edge, I decided it needed something more, just a little bit more to it, and I thought a thin strip of black cardstock would be nice along the edge of that stamping. So I have a piece of Stick It. This is thin double-sided adhesive, and I'm going to put a piece of this on the back of some black cardstock. Now you could just cut a thin strip of black cardstock, put adhesive on the back and stick it on the card. But since I'm making so many of the cards, this is going to be faster for me. So I've cut a piece of that double-sided Stick It adhesive, and I'm looking to remove the release paper here. So I've taken one piece of release paper off, put this onto some black cardstock, and then I'm going to go ahead and remove the other piece here and press this down. Now I'm making more strips than I need, but I'm going to save these strips for future cards. I use black thin strips of cardstock a lot as like a little accent on my card, so it's good to have some on hand. Okay, so now this has the adhesive on the back of it. I'm just going to go ahead and use my trimmer to cut super thin strips. I'm going to make a bunch of them since I'm making several cards. After I remove the release paper off of one of these thin strips, I can put this onto my card right along the stamped piece. The nice thing about Stick It is if you just put it down lightly, it doesn't stay put, so you can move it around if you need to. If you put it down and you change your mind, you can move it. If you want it to stay put, if you're happy with where it is, go ahead and take a bone folder or your fingernail and really press it down, and that will make sure that it stays put. That's one of the greatest things about the Stick It product is you can move it around until you're happy with it. Okay, so I thought this needed a little bit more. I never know when to stop on my cards. So I took some of the hearts from the Handmade Kindness stamp set that I showed you, and I'm just going to stamp a few of these with that same pink ink, kind of scatter them around in the background. Here's a look at the different cards that I made. I did a variety of sentiments and a variety of locations on the card just to kind of play around with what I liked best. Now on some of the cards, I did decide to add some accents to the center of the flowers. So I have some large and small pearls from Hero Arts that have adhesive on the back, so I can just pop them right in the middle and be done. Okay, so if you want to kind of finish everything off, you can use those stamps to stamp on the envelopes that you're going to use also. It's a great way to make everything coordinate. So there you have it, a way you can create your own stamp layering stamps by using the coordinating dies. This is a great technique for any stamps that you have coordinating dies to match. If you are interested in the products, I link them below in my YouTube description. You can also go to my blog by clicking up on the top left on my logo up there. In the middle are 3 other videos that might be helpful to you. The first shows creating your own stamps with dies. The middle shows another way to use coordinating dies to create masks. And the last one shows a technique with perfect pearls. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll return again soon.